Hello and welcome to a Football Tribe Asia exclusive interview. I'm Gyan Chansri Chawla, an editor at Football Tribe, and I recently had the opportunity to speak with Thai League CEO and licensing director Benjamin Tan. Mr. Tan has worked hard to ensure Thai clubs reach a higher level of quality in administration in order to compete with the best on the continent. In our recent interview, we discussed his thoughts on the recently finished 2019 season and his ambitions for the league heading into 2020. Benjamin Tan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start off just by asking, what were your impressions of the season that just finished?
Okay, thank you again for inviting me for this interview.
Yeah.
First of all, I think the 2019 season has been very exciting. I think this season is something that any league management would like to have it, where the championship is being decided at the very last match day of the season.
Yeah.
So I think it's also very intense season for everyone. And you can see that this is also the first season we have cut down from 18 to 16 teams, making it very competitive. You can see that week in, week out, every match day, we have a lot of interesting results, upsets. Tables are changing every week, so there's no strong or weak teams in the Thai League now. So I think this season, with the implementation of a 16-team Thai League, I think personally, I think it's been very successful. Yeah, and we also see new champions. Toyota Thai League, we had Chiangrai United.
Yeah.
Then the FA Cup, we have Thala Port FC, and the Toyota League Cup, we have PT Prachop. So that reflects the competitiveness of the league and also the competition in 2019.
And so you mentioned that we cut down to 16 teams this year. Does that have the effect that you wanted to have on the quality of football?
Yes, when we consider cutting down the number of teams, one of the main consideration was the quality of the teams. We used to have high scoring defeats before, so right now we can see that the teams the score lines are getting closer, more narrow.
Yeah.
Things are getting stronger, more competitive. So I think yes, I think we make a right. The league has made a right decision in slim down sizing the league size to 16 teams.
And other than the title-winning moment of the last day, what other moments stood out to you as memorable this season?
Memorable. That's a tough one. I said, if you say one of the most memorable would be probably Thailand getting the extra slot for the AFC Champions League.
Yeah.
I think that's not good news, not just for the league, but also for the Thai clubs and also the stakeholders as well. Meaning that thanks to the performance of the Champions League teams getting the points required now, or rather 2021, we have the extra additional direct slot in the AFC Champions League. That is good news for Thailand. And
they're restructuring that, right? So now the playoff will be like only one round of playoff and then group stage, correct?
No, there's still two rounds. There's still the preliminary and then the playoff and then the group stage.
Yeah.
But we as the higher member association in the coefficient ranking, so we are playing in the second stage, the playoff stage.
2 in the playoff and 2 in the group stage.
No, so 2 in the groups.
2 in the group stage, 2 in the
playoff. Yeah.
So the question is then, are we really closing the gap on the biggest teams in Asia between ourselves and?
I think we are. If you look at what our clubs have done, we have beaten K-League teams, we have beaten the J-League teams. So I think the gap is getting narrower. By having more teams in the group stage, I think there will be also a good gauge on how the Thai clubs will stand.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that with the clubs currently trying to build up the team, strengthen the teams, I think they'll give a good fight in the Champions League playoff group stage.
So, being a licensing director, you work a lot behind the scenes to make sure that club standards are pretty high. So what does your work involve specifically?
My main role is to, besides managing the Thai League, but also to ensure that the clubs meet certain criteria.
Yeah.
Which are 6 criteria. We have the sporting, the infrastructure criteria, the finance, the legal, the business, as well as the last one would be personnel. So we need to ensure that all clubs get the license in order to play in the Thai league.
Yeah.
So and also besides fulfilling the criteria, we also do kind of benchmarking where the clubs stands across the whole league, and also finding ways and initiative to help the clubs to improve and develop the clubs, and the end goal is to develop Thai football.
So, which clubs have made the biggest improvement in how professionally they're run this season?
I think there are a couple of clubs who have done well. I think in terms of the licensing concern, we have seen clubs even in the so-called the weaker, the smaller teams. They have strengthened their club structure. For example, they have built new facilities. They have built new stands. They have improved the floodlights.
Yeah.
Some clubs have also created good business plan, strategy to also help the club to sustain in the long run.
Yeah.
So we also have clubs who has also invested in youth academies.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that the league and the FA is also trying to work towards that, trying to set certain requirements for youth academies and also the youth development in the Thai clubs.
Are there any specific clubs that have done like very well in the past year?
I think Buriram has always been the benchmark. Buriram has done well, and I think the other clubs would be like Chiangrai United. We have Bangkok United, which has a very strong focus on youth academy.
Yeah.
We have also other clubs like Semabrakan.
Yes.
Semabrakan as well. So I think West done well in terms of personnel criteria. So I think besides them, many other clubs are also trying to catch up, and they know what they need to do, and I think they have done well to develop their clubs.
Out of the clubs you just mentioned, finishing at the top of the table. So, how closely does professional setup correlate to success on the pitch? Is that pretty close, or are there some clubs that?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the main objectives of the club licensing is a good development tool to help the club to strengthen the club structure, and that involves all aspects of football, which include the technical side as well. So if you are strong in the technical part, in your youth development, in having qualified coaches, in having a good pitch, that will translate the performance and results on the match day. So I think that's really important, and you can see that most of the clubs that have very high quality licensing, they do well in the and perform very well in the Thai league and also in the AFC competitions.
So how do you decide on minimum standards, and how do you impose them in T1?
So we use the AFC club licensing requirements as a guiding principle.
Mm-hmm.
That is the minimum requirements, and we use that as a Thai League 1 level.
Yeah.
Then we will also adjust and also add additional requirements or criteria in order to push our bar a little bit higher.
Yeah. A lot of the discussion on social media now is about the financial health of clubs, because Muang Thong have made most of the headlines in the recent weeks by selling Heberty and not renewing some contracts. And people have started talking about, Muang Thong are balancing the books. So I guess the question that's relevant right now to this discussion is, what is the general financial health of the league, and which clubs are the most financially healthy?
I think financial health, in terms of operating a club, there's always a large operating expenses. By monitoring what the club has spent so far, I can see a lot of the trend that the clubs are spending a lot on players and coaches, salaries, compensations. We also have clubs that has overdue payments, which means they owe salaries to employees. So we are monitoring that. We also brought in experts and some workshops to ensure that the best practices of finance management is being implemented. It's not easy, I know, because clubs are also investing a lot to strengthen the squad. The league is also trying to come up with some initiative on how to educate the clubs on how to finance the clubs properly, so that they have a healthy financial situation. Even recently, where there are some clubs that withdraw, that is also because of economic reasons,
Yep.
and also a change of the company direction and strategy. So all this needs to be addressed in the near future.
So, another issue in recent weeks that's been quite relevant is clubs folding in T2. We've had a lot of clubs that have sort of folded and dropped down. How is your office, your company, coping with this issue?
Well, we never liked the club to be folded because it's not a good image for the league. But we know that we understand that the main owner, main sponsor of the club has different direction.
Yep.
And we respect that. We also let the clubs know that these are some of the repercussions and circumstances that the league and the club might face. So we can't help to make the club stay in the league.
Yeah.
But we try to educate the clubs that they need to have other source of income, other revenue income generation strategy, where hopefully they don't rely heavily on one owner, one sponsor.
Yeah.
It happens in many clubs and many leagues in the region around the world, but this is something that we are trying to overcome.
So, speaking of other income sources, I guess attendances has been a big one this season because they've gone up quite a bit. So, are you happy with the attendance numbers? And
Yes. If we compare for the last 3 years, we have got the highest attendance.
Yep.
I think partly also because of the 16-team league competitiveness. So I think that helps a little bit. We have reached almost the 6,000 average 6,000 mark. Well, we say I'm happy, but also we will try to continue to achieve more than 6,000 on the average, and that is something that we are looking towards too. And there are some plans to how to increase the league attendance on the average from next season.
So we're talking with 6,000 average. Yeah, I was tracking it and watching over how we were above 6,000 and towards the end.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
So how do you divide up, or in your opinion, how should the responsibility be divided up between the league infrastructure to promote higher attendances and then the individual clubs to promote their fans coming? How do you, and which one has more impact in bringing fans to the gates?
I think for the league, we are working with our partners and also sponsors to bring the league and the matches to the region, promoting the clubs, and also bringing the matches closer to the region, to the clubs, promoting the players, promoting the league. That is something that the league is doing. We are also providing initiative and also programs for the leagues to tap on to promote the clubs as well. The clubs also has an important role to play, and that is why we are also bringing experts and also best practices from other clubs, J League, from European clubs, to share their best practices on how to engage fans using digital technologies, using data, and also enhancing the match day experience. So I think the clubs are aware of it. They just need to do a little bit more, making more efforts to attract more fans and put more bums to seats at the stadium.
And one thing we can notice about Thai League attendances is that when it's big teams against big teams, you get very high attendances, right? So Buriram could sell out when they have Muang Thong visiting, for example, or Muang Thong sell out when it's a port or other stuff like that. But then for other games, there's like a big fluctuation, which we don't necessarily have in sort of European football. Is that a cultural thing, and how do you perceive that to be, and why is that the case?
Well, I think it depends on the matches. Of course, the profile of the team plays an important role. Part of the match day attendance, the current standing in the table also play a role. Whether the match is a derby match, is a deciding match, or whether the match is significant. And you also take in consideration the size of the stadium as well. I said Buriram has a big stadium.
Yeah.
Some clubs has a smaller size stadium, but it doesn't mean that the smaller size stadium is not it's not significant.
Yeah.
If you look at the most of the smaller clubs, they actually achieve more than 50% of the stadium capacity.
Yeah.
So that is something encouraging. But of course, we are also doing more initiative, more activities to encourage more fans to come and turn up at the stadium. So we are working on with our media team, bringing the press conferences
Yeah.
to the region, getting the coaches and players to engage with the regional and also local fans, the communities. So these are some of the things that we are trying to bring the Thai League and the clubs closer to fans.
Does the nature of the sort of attendances here, where the team you're playing against or the team that where you are on the table, things like that, your previous result plays a big role in the attendance of the next game? Does that make it tough for clubs to predict sort of how much money they'll make from ticket gates over a season, or can they pretty closely predict it?
I think the clubs will know the next game whether it will be a match that will attract more fans. But I think this season there was probably not a big issue, because I think every match is important.
Yeah.
And I think the fans also are aware that they are always looking for the next match. And as I mentioned earlier, there's no weak teams this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully the next season as well. So I hope the home team, I think the home fans will be coming to the stadium more often. And with the transfer news going around, and clubs are also signing better players, which I see.
Yeah.
So I think that will also create some excitement and hopefully bring more fans to the stadium.
So changing topic a little bit now. I understand this is quite difficult for the Thai League to handle the situation, but there were some issues between Chiangrai United and Chiangmai FC towards the end of the season, and there were some issues throughout the season. How did you respond to the issues that those two clubs faced, specifically Chiangmai FC faced?
So the movement of the players between Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai, we cannot control the transfer of the players, because there's always a window for
Yes.
players to move.
Yeah.
So as long as the players move within the window, they are not infringing any rules. I mean, this is a window for players to move. In terms of changing stadiums, as you know that we also have this EFC Under 23. I think that was the reason why we had to move some stadiums, renovate some stadiums,
Yeah.
in order to make the stadium better for the clubs. So I think this year there will be a bit of movement in the stadiums because of the renovations. I think hopefully next year we will have a more settled home ground for the clubs.
Again, changing topic quite a bit. So we have seen more and more Thai players go abroad. Recent
Yes.
season,
Yes.
Theoton just won the J League with Yokohama. There are reports now that the K League is interested in bringing in
Yes.
ASEAN players. So is this a positive for the Thai League?
Yes, if you look at those players, especially the Thai players moving abroad, playing abroad and outside Thailand has definitely benefited them in terms of technical skills, tactical awareness, and then contributing back to the clubs and also the Thai national team.
Yeah.
That has been very, very beneficial. If you look at the players that played abroad, especially those in the J League, they have played a considerable number of matches for the J League clubs. I think more than 50% of the club, and we're also very happy to know that Thirathon is the first ASEAN or the first Thai player to win the J League Championship.
Yeah.
So I strongly encourage players to move outside the comfort zone, challenge themselves in the higher league. I mean, this would be beneficial for the player individually as well as the national team. Similarly, we are trying to do the same for the ASEAN countries, where we open up the ASEAN quota, hoping to raise the standards of ASEAN players, and then in return, they will also improve their national teams as well.
Yeah. And is this something that Coach Nishino has been stressing as well, and he wants players to move abroad? Or?
Yes, I believe I can't say for Nishino San himself, but I think he has been watching the J League matches quite a lot,
Yeah.
and I believe he probably shared the same um, opinion that players should play more often in the J League, where you can see that a lot of play are being in play. One of the things that Nishino San has also feedback that many times in the league match, in the high league matches, there's a lot of time wasting. A lot of times where the ball is not in play, and that actually affects the national team. So I think this is something that I think Nishino San is also looking at and trying to as a league, we are trying to make sure that more time is playing in play. If you look at the stronger leagues in J League and K League, almost 65 to 70%, or rather 65 to 70 minutes of time is being played on pitch. If you look at Thai League, we make a study about a year ago, maybe about 50 to 55 minutes are in play. So that's could affect the performance not just on the Thai League but also in the national team.
Yeah. And how have you found club owners to be in terms of cooperating with this idea? So, in general, are owners happy to let their players go, or do they tend to resist by, for example, offering higher salaries, keeping players here?
I think it depends on different consideration, whether the player is ready to move, whether the offer is the right offer, whether he's moving to the right club. So there are certain considerations. And definitely the league will respect that as well, whether the player is ready to go. I think for those players that have moved abroad, I think the club has made the right decision.
This year you've already mentioned the ASEAN quota, and you expanded it to include 3 slots now. So has that had the intended effect that you wanted it to have?
No, when we first implemented the ASEAN player, we need to find a balance between the number of ASEAN players and also not limiting the opportunities for Thai players. So that's why we had the 3 players on the match in the match. So I think, and if you look at the statistics and the team's registration, not all clubs has filled up the 3 ASEAN players. One of the reasons is because we want quality ASEAN players and also Thai players to fight for their positions in the slots. So I think that creates a healthy competition. And after that, of course, we will review that whether it will be beneficial for the league, also whether it's beneficial for the Thai players for the national team.
So a lot of critics have said that expanding the ASEAN quota limits game time for young Thai players. I actually believe the opposite. So I believe that we should have not even ASEAN, like foreign quota should be allowed to have more players. So local Thai players get to compete more with these players for starting spots, and then the quality goes up because in order to start you have to be of a higher quality. And in training as well, intensity will go up if you have more foreign players. So have you heard this argument made before? Is this a common point people have made, and do you believe it? Do you buy it?
Yes, we actually have. We are trying to be like the English Premier League, but having said that, I think we are not ready yet. The Thai League is not ready to open up totally for foreign players and unlimited ASEAN players in a match. I think we also need to protect the interests of Thai players. And that is very important, and that is a very key consideration. Those Thai players who are playing are probably the best in the country now. Who are playing. So also we need to help the national teams to ensure that our local players have enough playing time, especially in key positions that will help the national team. So after 2 years of this ASEAN policy, then we'll start to review whether we should limit or we should open up more. So I think we need to speak to the technical department, we need to speak to the national coach on how to approach this in the near future.
It's a bit of a random idea, but would you consider something along the lines of you can trade 2 ASEAN slots for a foreigner slot, something like that? Would you ever consider that, or is that too much bureaucracy and too much
I think
confusion?
First of all, if you have too many rules, the clubs will get confused. So we try to eliminate so many rules in the match. One of the things that we could also look at is probably having a Japanese quota, Japanese player, where we could have maybe limited the numbers of ASEAN players, but we could have maybe like Japanese players quota where we can sign a good Japanese player. Let's say Suzuki Nakamura is coming to Thai League.
Okay,
That would be very interesting.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah, or you have Keisuke Honda coming to Thai League. I think that would be interesting for Thai clubs and also sponsors in Thailand, Japanese sponsors. And we could also see how we can also help to bring such players to Thai League. So that could be something that we can forward in the near future.
I think a Korean player would also be pretty useful as well.
Yeah, Korean players we have already quite a number.
Quite a lot, yeah.
It's also very high quality.
So you've already mentioned the Champions League getting more slots for 2021. Do you feel like what can we do in Thailand to make ourselves more competitive compared to the top Japanese and Korean clubs? What do you think we can do to improve our catch up?
Well, okay, by having the 2 slots in the Champions League already create a competition domestically where teams are trying to play to get the direct slot to Champions League. And in order to do that, you need to also beefen up the team, strengthen the team. The clubs also understand the environment in the Champions League, the quality of the Champions League, the quality of the teams in the Champions League are very different from the Thai clubs. So I think the clubs, we're not saying that the clubs should spend more money on the players, but they should also ensure that they consistently create quality players, whether it's through getting new players or through the academy. We should start working on the academy players, investing more in academy, so that in the long run, they can not just challenge themselves in the Thai League, but also in the AFC Champions League. So I think many clubs in the Champions League as well, they are also trying to strengthen their teams. So it's very important that the Thai clubs also try to match the quality of them.
So, lastly, what targets do you have in any field? Attendances, playing quality, anything. What targets do you have?
Well, next year in 2020, we are going to have the VAR, which we'll be implementing in the AFC Under-23 Championship, and then the Toyota Thai League, which will be an interesting one. We'll be the first league in the region to implement this technology. I'm sure there'll be some potential, controversies, talking points.
It's a bit,
So, I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully that will also help to enhance the game fairness as well. And also, we are trying to implement more technologies in the Thai League. We are transforming digital transformation, digital innovative, where we have more interaction and communication with the clubs through a centralized digital platform. Even for media as well. So that is something that we are looking at, whether we are managing the competition, whether we are registering the players. We will have a good database of players, academies, coaches, referees. So all stakeholders will be registered under this centralized platform. So this is something that we are looking at. We're also trying to enhance the attendances, continuing to bring the best practices, the best teams in Europe, and working again together with J-League and La Liga clubs to see how they can help the Thai League and also the clubs to enhance the matchday experience, and also bring in the fans to the stadium. And then also we also looking at the TV, the media rights for the new cycle.
Oh yeah, DACM.
Yeah, so we will also work towards that, and also trying to also looking at a new structure, new format of the league, where we might have the playoff between the top league, and also between the first and the second division. So that could be something that we are looking at. we are talking to some experts and consultants.
Yeah.
So looking at the format from 2021 onwards. Yeah, so these are some of the initiatives that we're looking at from 2020 and also onwards.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you again.
Hope
Thank you.
next season, when we start, we end up going well, and best of luck to all the work you're doing at the Thai League office. Thank you
Thank
very
you, and also take this opportunity to wish all the fans Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. See them in 2020.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.